Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/AskReddit by Planet Reddit. People who were mentioned in someone's suicide note. What's your story? If anyone is reading this and struggling, there are a few resources available. There's r/SuicideWatch, where well-meaning and sympathetic people will try and help, but be aware they aren't trained. There's r/Teenage Suicide Watch, which is for teenagers going through difficult times, but they are also not trained. The Befrienders website is a global list of local suicide help charities. Use it to find an organization in your country. You should be able to call or email them for free and they'll speak to you and try and help you without being judgmental. I was thanked in my friend's suicide note. I was with him the night he passed. I didn't know he was going to do it. He just said he was upset and wanted to meet up for a smoke and a chat. I believe I was the last person to see him alive. It really hit me hard when I found out he had passed. That's really rough, but it sounds like he really loved and cared about you. Around May 2 years ago, my mother tried to commit suicide and I remember finding the note after I found her. When I went to find her, I thought she was somebody trying to break into our house, so I went and grabbed a knife. It turns out the noise I heard was her body flopping against the door. I ended up being able to make sure she was okay, but I think what killed me most was her note. She stated that my 2 sisters and I were all she had, and since we were growing up, she didn't have us anymore. She wanted to leave this world so badly. Mom is currently going through some issues and this story hits way too close to home. Do you mind me asking how your mom is doing now? My mother is not doing her best. Even at that time she was an alcoholic and didn't really make the right choices, but she has kinda stopped drinking. She has a job. And she's doing fine from what I know. He sent me a separate note the day before he did it. Thanks for existing. I love you. I just answered with love you too. Bud. I had no idea. Damn. That's painful. Dude. 14 years ago now and it all still haunts me. I had lived with Craig for about 8 months before he killed himself. I'd known him for 4 years before that. We met at a metal gig and he was a short, thin guy who almost got trampled in a mosh pit. We knew he was going a bad way as soon as he started hanging out with the group we all knew did heroin and similar regularly, maybe 2 months after we started living together. I tried to help him as much as I could. There were so many nights when he got back, clearly out of his mind on whatever it was he'd been doing, and he'd stay on the couch in my room instead of going to his own. He didn't like to be alone. I spent a lot of mornings cooking for him and generally making sure he was okay. But it was like shoveling snow in a blizzard. He'd just go do the same the next night. At the end of that 8 months we found him in his room having overdosed. We realized it was intentional when we read his note. A lot of it was about his family problems, his mental health, and just generally how terrible he thought the world was. Then near the end was a little paragraph about me, thanking me but saying I made the decision to end his life more complicated. He asked me not to blame myself. He then rambled some more and it was clear he'd been high whilst writing it. I moved out a month later. I'm sorry for your loss. It sounds like you were a wonderful friend to him. Having gone through this myself and lost many friends at this point, and talked many more down, the metaphor of shoveling snow in a blizzard made me cry. That's exactly what loving someone who is deeply suicidal or stuck in their own self-destruction feels like. And I understand why people give up on shoveling, or get tired, and just stand there in the snow. Thank you for shoveling. And this made me cry in turn. Both my brother and my son are deeply suicidal. And my arms are so tired. But I keep shoveling on. Much love to you. It was my dad's note, telling us boys that he is so proud of the men we've become, and even just writing that now makes me cry happy and sad tears. It's been just over 4 years now. He was a great dad and had such a profoundly positive impact on who I am today. Even with how it ended, I couldn't ask for a better dad. He was something else. I'm a lucky kid. Wish he could see me now. I'm glad he knew my wife before he went. Wish he could meet my nephew. I love you, Dad. I still miss the hell out of you. You ornery old hippie. You're still my hero. Thank you for everything. Welp. Wasn't expecting that wave. Thank you. It's been a minute since I cried for him. I am so sorry to hear about your loss. Can't even imagine how hard it is for you. I feel so much love reading this post and I am hoping this love will help your pain fade in the future. Wishing you all the best and sending you virtual hugs. Stay strong, bud. He wanted me to know he loved me. That it wasn't my fault. That I was the best friend anyone could want or have. That I should have his car. That he thought he was going mad and was saving his brother and me from the madness. I showed the note to my therapist. She thinks he had schizophrenia. His mom did. It's been 6 years. I'm still not over his death. Doubt I ever will be. Schizophrenia is a horrific and depressing disease. My aunt has it. She's now 40 and lives in a trailer in my grandparents' front yard. When I was a little kid she was normal as can be. Used to be a male lady and had a fiancé. That person doesn't exist anymore. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for your loss as well. It must be difficult seeing her state deteriorate. I was a teenager and a close friend killed herself. She wanted me to have her music collection, leather jacket, and a screenplay she wrote. What is the screenplay about? It's a sci-fi based in the future where, depending on what tonic you drink, determines your placement in society. When my mom attempted suicide I was in her note. She just wanted me to know that it wasn't my fault and that she loves me no matter what. I found my mum when she attempted. Thought she was just asleep and found the note. Luckily at the same time my nan ran through the front door and sorted everything out. Good thing your nan was around. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. When my stepdad and the father of my 3 younger brothers killed himself last month, he didn't leave a note. What he did do, I didn't even know that was possible, was queue up 3 texts. So they wouldn't be received until the morning after. At exactly 8 AM. All 3 of my brothers received a text from him. To my 2 oldest brothers, 19 and 17. I love you forever. I'm sorry. I just can't live with this any longer. To my youngest brother, 13. You are a very special boy and I'll love you forever XX. I asked my youngest brother if it had made it better or worse. He said worse. Do you know what he was referring to when he said, I just can't live with this any longer? Yes. No note. Just a phone call to preteen me that had stayed up too late because my single parent mother had gone out looking to score whatever pills would sate her addiction. Kid me had no idea. Adult me now knows it was obvious. I don't remember the call completely. But I do remember being annoyed she'd kicked me off the dial-up by calling in. She said and made me promise a bunch of things that felt very serious but also very confusing and then we hung up. Police officer knocked on the door a few hours later and everything changed. No one but me knows about that phone call. Especially not my brother. I'll be the exact same age she was. Down to the hour. In roughly 500 days. I keep a countdown timer on my phone. One of the promises she made me make was to live longer than she did. I'm so sorry. Thank you. In some ways it was the best thing for my brother and I. Which I used to feel guilty about. We got out of a really bad neighborhood. Constant drive-by shootings and drugs everywhere. In a mostly bad city. Hell, I was running drugs and whatever on my bike after school just to try and help with rent. After she died, we stayed with family that had helped before. All localish enough that there was no big move out of state. I still finished the 8th grade at my current school. But then ended up at a much better high school than what would have been available to me in that city. We went from solidly poor to solidly upper middle class basically overnight. Which sounds superficial and terrible when considering the events that brought us there. But to a kid headed down all the wrong paths, it was a godsend. The thing that gets me is that at my current age, she was waiting tables at multiple restaurants every week. Sometimes 2 shifts in one day. Studying and acing the final semesters of a STEM field at community college despite never finishing high school. Taking care of 2 young troublesome boys by herself. Hiding from an abusive husband. Dealing with extreme pain from an automobile accident. This was real. But it definitely started the problem. And she was bipolar and dealing with a severe addiction to prescription drugs. Not really a suicide one but a end odd life goodbye one. He was sick and almost got through it. but at the end with weak immune system. Cold was enough to get inflammations on everything. He was almost 18. Till this day the perfect person for me. And most important of all, the only real rock I had who was there from the moment we first met. He wanted to make me laugh. He always did that. Made a few jokes. Terrible ones. Dad ones. Still made me laugh. And made the pain more durable. I miss those lame jokes. Sorry to hear of such a close loss. May the spirit of his jokes echo from those you now jest with too. My gosh, that brought tears to my eyes. Sending you love, internet stranger. Sometimes I hate being a parent. BC posts like these hit me so much harder than before my son was born. I can't imagine her pain. And I'm so sorry for your loss. My mom committed suicide after finding out that her tumor was malignant. She had just lost her father a year before and her mother died in treatment for cancer. She laid everything out, notes to specific people and how she wanted things done. I have always been an old soul and she planned for me to find her as I would be the reasonable person I am. But that day I was invited to try out for the debate team, so I came home late and my little sister was the one who found her. Edit. Thank you for all the kind words. Mental health is something that needs to more important. We can all sway ourselves and convince ourselves of even the most ridiculous things. Edit 2. A little context. My mother was a valedictorian, held 2 degrees, and she worked as social worker helping people with disabilities. I'm so sorry. I hope both you and your sister have gotten some help and are doing better now. This was when I was 12, so it's been 20 years. He just got back from Iraq, Marine. He called me up. I wasn't very close to him, but we both served. Michael. We talked for about 2 weeks before it happened. He talked about how much he loved his mom. His brothers in the service. I thought everything was normal. That's shit we all talk about after coming home. He shot himself over the phone. I still can't get the sound out of my head. Navy took 2 weeks to send a chaplain. Then sis was involved. When I returned home I found out that he had left a ruck for me. He left a rucksack for me and I couldn't do anything for him. He gave it to his parents and had asked them to give it to me. Once did many military funerals. I was asked to help out on one, but it was a shitty time. Saturday. Early morning. I praised the memory of a young father. I presented the flag to his 5-year-old daughter. Her mom died of cancer a few months ago. That was the hardest moment of my life. I had to look a little girl in the eyes. No tears. And give her father's flag. That's what broke me. Dude. I am sorry. Please don't stay broken. Get help from a professional. I take it you are active duty or a vet? I'm a vet. Not many people understand what it's like to be retired for 4 years but still keep a service dress uniform ready to go just in case you need to wear it at a friend's military funeral. Pressed. Ribbons mounted. Living with a thought buried in your brain that there is a chance you might be hammering a set of wings into a buddy's coffin one day. Don't walk that walk alone. Hit me up if you wanna talk. Thank you. Vet. This means so much to me. I've been with alcohol, but that is no way to live. I keep my address whites and blues pressed so that my brothers will always have a great day. Apparently they owed me $5. I didn't even realize. This is what's so horrible about mental illness. You can turn something like owing someone a $5 into a rationalization for being a bad person who deserves to die, while simultaneously refusing any logic reasoning for why you're a good person and deserve to live. Question to those who have been told I love you. It's not your fault in someone else's note. Did that help or did it make you feel more guilty? Word for word. That was the last thing she said to me over the phone. I just kept repeating, "Where are you? Please. Please tell me where you are." I just wish I had said something different. Maybe I could have told her something to change her mind. Asked her to think about the kids we were going to have, the life we could live together. But all I did was ask where she was. I was the last person she spoke to. And I didn't tell her how much I loved her. She knew. I just kept repeating, "Where are you? Please. Please tell me where you are." That's more than enough. You didn't explicitly tell her you loved her, but you showed her, and that's what means the most. In a lot of ways. It was the best thing you could have said. Not only was it a practical response, it was also a loving one. My stepdad committed suicide when I was about 7 years old. In his letter he wrote he was lonely since my mother left him. He mentioned that he couldn't live anymore because I didn't want to see him anymore and didn't want to talk to him on the phone when he called my mother the last time. I found him hanging on my grandmother's attic where I played hide and seek with my cousin. At this time he was 3 weeks dead. It's difficult to think about it. Even though I know I was just a child and I had my reasons, he was an alcoholic who beat my mother in front of me every time he drank. I still feel guilty. And for that feeling I hate him. On the other hand, I know he was a wreck. Destroyed by his parents. But neither my mother nor I were responsible for this. Keep remembering that you and your mother are not responsible for this. I know other people who have been destroyed by their parents and have never taken it out on others that they love. My boyfriend blamed me in his note and professed his love for someone else while condemning me. So sorry. I'm sorry that happened. That's terrible. One of my best friend's mother committed suicide and had a little message for her 2 children in her suicide note. It was mostly straight down the line apologetic. And an explanation as to why. Spinal cancer which metastasized and it was only downhill for her. She did her taxes. Paid all her bills. Got all her paperwork in order. Wrote a farewell note and swallowed a bottle of painkillers. I only managed to see a small section of the note as I was the second non-emergency person on the scene. My friend was the first. But enough to know it was her way of trying to make things as painless as possible for everyone else. Cancer really ducks up people's lives. Even though nobody was mentioned. This specific note stays close to my heart to this day. My dad is a retired detective. And one day a few years ago he came home from work visually distraught. I usually talk to him about his day, so I asked him what was wrong and he told me a young man, I think around 22, had committed suicide and the note broke his heart. I asked what it said and it read something like, "Mom. Dad. I'm sorry I couldn't be stronger. I hope to see you both someday in a place that's beautiful." I don't know why I'm reading this thread. It's just making me sad as duck. My mom mentioned me and my brother and sister in her note. Just telling us to be good. My brother didn't leave a note. This is horrible. Keep your sister closer than ever and break the ducking circle. Best friend hung himself in his room. New Year's Day 2015 left one note saying, "I'm so sorry mum." On his bed. She found him. So he didn't mention me. But it's the same topic I suppose. His mum and I scattered his ashes together. And she gave me a jacket and necklace of his that he always had on. Haven't taken the necklace off since. And I have a tattoo of his birthday on my arm. It really affected me heavily. And I developed bad anger issues from it all. I'm much better now though. Edit. Goes without saying, but I urge everyone to talk about the issues they are facing. Took me 4 years to talk about my friend's passing. And having talked about it now, I'm a lot better off. Talk to someone. My amazing cousin killed himself when I was 16. He was 26. We found the note a few weeks later. He'd singled out immediate family members with a love goodbye note. No one else except his 4 siblings and parents. Then there was my mum, my brother, and then me at the bottom. You're going to grow up and be amazing. You're going to be a star. You don't know, wait till your fav person in the world thinks the world of you. And that's the last thing they think before they die. And you have no idea how to live up to it. Haunting and inspiring. You don't forget it. My girlfriend killed herself a little over a year ago. We were fighting and I was planning to leave her. She sent me a message that she hoped her death weighed heavy on me for a long time while I was sleeping. She was dead in the bed next to me when I woke up. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I hope you're finding healing. Not really. Just regrets and nightmares. It's 4:30 AM. I'll go to sleep when the sun comes up. Sleeping at night, it's difficult. Used to know this woman whose ex-husband killed himself and used his suicide note to tell his children, 6 and 8, that their mummy killed him, and not only was it her fault, but theirs too. And the police dealing with it had to be physically stopped by the mother from reading it to her damn kids. One of the more ducked up stories from where I live. The police had to be stopped, or the mother had to be stopped from reading it to the children. The police. In hindsight, that sounds like someone exaggerated it to me, but they were far from helpful. My partner took her own life last year. I had become a carer due to her poor and declining health, and she was despondent. Going from a life as an active working professional to being stuck at home with her mind and body letting her down. Her note was addressed to me and me alone. She texted her father. In many ways it was beautifully worded. She expressed her eternal love for me and recognition of mine for her, which gave me comfort that she did not die feeling unloved. She stated that she and I had done our best and fought so hard for so long, but she couldn't go on. Thank you for everything you did. There is nothing more you could have done. She said lovely things about me and ended with love for eternity, which I hang on to on my dark days as belief that we will meet again and her spirit lives on. I know I couldn't do more. But she was only 38 and fought so hard for years as her body failed from combined autoimmune illnesses. Nothing that would kill her itself. Even crueler in a way, it just robbed her of life bit by bit. I'm so sorry. But I am glad you got to feel her love. Love yourself. A friend's younger sister got a massive crush on me. Would text me all the time and get mad if I didn't reply immediately. I tried to never lead her on and did my best to let her down easy. But I was young and dumb and didn't know how to deal with it. So the thing continued. By the time I finally worked up the courage to say that this was unhealthy and that we needed to stop, it was already like 3 months. The next day my mom told me she tried to kill herself. She told me about the note. She tried to protect me, but it wasn't too hard to figure out what the note said. Or confirm it. She wrote she was killing herself because I didn't love her back. 16-year me did not know how to handle that. And honestly messed me up a bit for a while. My mom told me the best thing I could do was give her space. Not talk to her and tell her if the girl texted me again. The girl recovered and attempted to reach out to me a few more times after that, but I didn't respond. It's been 6 years now and I wonder all the time if she is okay. I hope so. I hope she's fine too. I hope that was a wake-up call to her parents that they have to teach her how to deal with having a crush on somebody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.